those who are coming from Latin America seeking humanitarian relief. That's the real big takeaway shot from his trip overseas.
That's not the big takeaway shot. That's the big takeaway shot if you watch some of the networks that are clearly negative towards the president. You can't say it's a bigger takeaway shot than him sitting with the Queen. You can't say it's a bigger takeaway shot than him standing on Normandy or being with President Macron, who again he had a very positive, productive conversation.
Whether it's bigger or not, it was part of the story this week. And Mary, one of the things we were seeing was he was attacking Nancy Pelosi. Let's show that this was in Fox after she said he should be in prison.
I think she's a disgrace. I actually don't think she's a talented person. I've tried to be nice to her because I would have liked to have gotten some deals done. She's incapable of doing deals. She is a terrible person. And I'll tell you, her name, it's Nervous Nancy, because she's a nervous wreck.
I don't talk about the president when I hit the country. That's my principle.
But before she left, she did say she wanted to see him in prison. And we've really seen an evolution of Nancy Pelosi's discussions of the president and impeachment as she faces more pressure from her caucus.
Yeah, in the matter of weeks, she has gone from saying that the president isn't even worth impeaching now to saying that he should be going to prison. And
because she wants to hold off impeachment.
Because she wants to hold off impeachment. I mean, and she did take quite a whack at him right before he goes overseas, and then she arrives overseas and says, no, I'm not going to criticize him there. But Pelosi is essentially trying to walk this fine line. She's ratcheting up the rhetoric as the pressure gets ratcheted up on her. She's throwing some red meat to the base and to those Democrats who are calling for impeachment, but she is not changing her position just by changing the rhetoric. She still insists that they need to be pursuing the investigation.
We actually never saw Nancy Pelosi make a statement about Donald Trump going to prison. That's something that purportedly
but it was made in private, and they don't dispute it.
It's not the same as standing in front of graves of American troops at Normandy and blasting
let me tell you somebody in Europe. She earned that one, Patrick. She earned it. Okay, if you're going to say you want to see the president of the United States in prison, then she earned a shot. A shot against her.
I know you were at a convention where the "lock her up" chant was a common refrain, but I think there's quite a bit of difference between taking a shot from the president. Yeah. Donald Trump can attack Nancy Pelosi and doing that at that sacred site.
Well, one thing that struck me about Pelosi's approach to dealing with Trump that I think could be a lesson for Democratic presidential candidates is that she hasn't reacted to every Trump provocation by lavishing him with attention or ratcheting up the rhetoric against him. The prison thing aside, I mean, she was saying that to fend off calls of impeachment from her caucus. She's generally treated him like he's not worth giving attention to or like he's beneath contempt, and that seems to be effective with him.
I love hearing the prison thing aside. The prison thing aside. You can't put the prison thing aside. When you say you think the president of the United States belongs in prison, you want to see him in prison, you've got to expect a reaction to that. And that's what she wanted because she is succumbing to her own political pressure. So that's not an excuse. It's an explanation, but it's not an excuse.
Who did it help when the president spoke out? Indeed, it did help Nancy Pelosi.
Pelosi knows exactly what she's doing, right? She may not respond to every provocation from the president, but she also knows very well how to get under his skin. And she clearly is doing that. She now has a nickname. That's a clear sign of that. The putting him in prison thing is Pelosi trying to make the argument, right? She's trying to satisfy all of this increasing pressure, but also buy herself some time, essentially. And the sooner
that's an explanation, not an excuse. Once you decide to make that statement, you're going to get a reaction. Now, I also think, George, that the president's press staff served him poorly in two instances in Europe, putting him in front of Piers Morgan and putting him in that interview at that site with Laura Ingraham. That does not serve the president well. When you give him that long a period of time to do those kind of things, and they're going to ask those kind of questions and follow up, that's what, you know this, I know this, anybody who's been in political campaigns and political situations. The staff's job is to not put the principal in a situation where you put him at greater risk of harm than greater risk of benefit. And I'd argue that when Sarah Sanders, whoever made those decisions to put him in those positions, put him there, they ill-served him.
That is the last word for today. Thank you all very much. Great roundtable. Up next, Pierre Thomas, powerful conversation with